Subsidy removal. Nigerian government gets $800 million World Bank grant for palliatives. Federal Executive Council approves a new bill to replace a Nigerian Mining Act. Plus, oil falls as a weak U.S. oil data stokes recession fears. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us. It's time to talk business. The federal government has secured $800 million from the World Bank to provide palliatives to deserving Nigerians ahead of the removal of petroleum subsidy in June this year. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed announced this while addressing journalists after the meeting of the Federal Executive Council. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
This is a commitment in the petroleum industry bill. There's a provision that says that 18 months after the effectiveness of the PIA, that all petroleum products must be deregulated. That 18 months takes us to June 2023.
Nigeria, the minister said, is on course towards exiting fuel subsidy as provisions have already been made in both the medium-term expenditure framework and the 2023 Appropriations Act.
We've secured some funding, $800 million for the scale-up of the National Social Investment Program at the World Bank that will enable us to give cash transfers to the most vulnerable in our society that have now been registered in a national social register. Today, that register has a list of 10 million households. 10 million households is equivalent to about 50 million Nigerians.
She said wide-ranging negotiations are underway towards the deployment of non-cash palliatives such as mass transit system for workers, daily commute, and members of the transition committee of the incoming government are involved in the discussions. From the State House, Adamu Sambo.
And now the National Council for Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship, established to guide the implementation of the Nigeria Startup Act 2022, has been inaugurated. President Muhammadu Buhari, who performed this ceremony, described the governance structure as critical towards consolidating the gains achieved by Nigeria's digital economy sector and making the country a global talent factory. Again, State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The 14-member National Council for Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship, chaired by the President, will amongst others ensure that government agencies, entrepreneurs and investors support efforts at achieving the goals of promoting the growth of a vibrant and sustainable startup ecosystem in Nigeria.
The Nigerian Startup Act 2022 is a testament to the vision and commitment of our administration to harness the potential of Nigeria's young and innovative population who have demonstrated their ingenuity, creativity, and entrepreneurship spirit in creating innovative solutions to the challenges we face as a nation and as a continent.
The Act provides incentives and support for startups such as tax holidays, access to funding, ease of doing business, intellectual property protection, and participation in public procurement.
I hereby direct the Secretariat to ensure faithful implementation of the Nigeria Startup Act 2022. Implementation of the Act will lead to consolidation and further development of the gains recorded by Nigeria's digital economy.
Records show that Nigeria has been at the forefront of the remarkable growth achieved by the startup ecosystem in Africa. The nation's startups account for over $4 billion out of the record $5.4 billion raised in Africa between 2019 and 2022.
Year in, year out, this administration has been setting new records when it comes to ICT contribution to GDP. A recent evaluation indicated that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has increased revenue generation from the digital economy sector from 51 billion to 408 billion, an increase of 594%. This is indeed commendable, and I believe that the council to be inaugurated here is going to consolidate the achievements and the gains we have recorded so far.
The minister is under instruction by the president to convene the council's meeting next month in furtherance of efforts at ensuring the successful implementation of the Nigeria Startup Act. From the State House, Adamu Sambo.
And globally, micro, small, and medium enterprises, talking about the MSMEs, account for about 90% of business enterprises and more than 50% of employment. They are regarded as the engine room of growth and a catalyst for socio-economic transformation of any country, especially in a developing country like Nigeria. And despite such a growing momentum and a strong recognition of their roles, MSMEs in Nigeria continue to face many common problems due to a combination of financial and non-financial factors. On Business Express this morning, we will be x-raying these challenges bedeviling the sector and the possible way forward. Our guest is Mr. Ebuka Anichebe. He's a serial entrepreneur. He joins us via telephone to discuss this all-important topic. Mr. Anichebe, welcome to Business Express this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good. MSMEs are said to be a veritable vehicle for the achievement of national macroeconomic objectives in terms of employment generation at particularly low investment cost and enhancement of apprenticeship training. How is that so? How has been the impact over time? And what do you think, what kind of attention do you think this sector should receive at this particular point in time?
Well, I think it's very clear that apprenticeship as a model for getting people to become own bosses, either self-employed or even employers of labor, and go on and build much bigger businesses that can absorb some of the people on the unemployment queue is vital because of two things. Number one, networks, and secondly, knowledge. So there are very few things you can learn from outside, and we all can agree that the education that we are receiving in our tertiary institutions can be moved on to better prepare our youth to come when they come out from school. And so I'm always advocating when you're doing your NYSC, it's the right period. In fact, all through your 20s is the right period for learning in respect to that. But I think more formal learning should also be put in place, more formal routes to mentoring and apprenticeship should be put in place in tertiary institutions so that people that really know the know-how, not just regular lecturers, can actually find ways to collaborate with our universities, colleges of education, and polytechnics in actually teaching people skills that will make them more employable first, and also can convert that employability into entrepreneurship.
Okay, great. Taking from what you just said, talking about handshake between industry and the academics has been an effort that has been ongoing, but the impact, you might say, we're yet to see it at the level we should see it, following the fact that year in, year out, government at various levels through budgetary allocations, policies, and pronouncements has signified much interest at energizing the MSME sector. There have also been fiscal incentives, talking about the grants, bilateral and multilateral agencies, support and aid, all geared towards making the MSME subsector vibrant. There is even this new call by the international community for us to have MSMEs connected to the global value chain. But let's look at Nigeria the way we are and looking forward to the African continental free trade market that we are taking our population and our expertise to be an advantage. In all of this, what do you think should be done going forward?
Well, a couple of things. I think the government has done, it's still playing a role and playing a good role in regards to this. However, when it comes to the individuals now, companies can decide to take on more volunteer. Okay, so volunteering should be part and parcel of what we do so that people can be absorbed from the street and they can actually learn a thing or two about business. So that's number one. Everybody has roles to play in this, right? Every business is not just about the government now. Business owners should actively have policies that can help people. That's number one. Secondly, when it comes to this, again, like I said, tertiary institutions should have their and I don't even think it should start from tertiary institutions. I think even secondary schools should have the curriculum so that you have to do in the industry. So things like artificial intelligence, for example, right? That should be taught. That should definitely be taught. We shouldn't shy away from that. Coding, that should be taught across the board in all schools. Because if we are not good in exporting products, especially finished products, as a result of lack of competitiveness due to poor power sector, poor power supply, which makes our goods more expensive, what we shouldn't lose out on is our ability to give out services, and these services can be deployed easily using information technology and the world is now like global, truly a global village. So if you have a skill that is needed in India or Norway or the US, you can deploy it sitting from the comfort of your home, right? And so that can only get into the fore if our institutions start to actively look at this. So most of the businesses that we have now are service oriented, and for good reason. It's cheaper here, labor is cheaper here, and if we can tap into that and we can get more Nigerians to become IT savvy, right? I can tell you that we will see a lot more foreign direct investment, much more flow foreign coming to Nigeria. Just the same way the Indians are enjoying these same advantages as a result of consciously looking at the educational sector and realizing that if you can build and develop human capital, that's the best way forward. I think we should look more into that.
Okay, great. A great contribution there, talking about how much we can do with technology. Still talking technology. Aside, yes, exporting goods, talking about the service sector, which you are advocating and Nigeria should take advantage of. With the cash crunch situation we got into some few months back and we're getting out of it now, we are kind of encouraged to go on the internet space, talking about exploring e-commerce in our transaction in all of that. With the present situation, where do you think smaller MSMEs should do to key into these advantages these platforms are actually providing at this particular point in time?
So usually when I hold public seminars and public forums, I encourage people to not just look into trading within themselves on popular e-commerce websites that we have within Nigeria, but e-commerce websites that are outside of Nigeria, right? And find ways to collaborate with somebody living in that country so that you can export, whether you're doing art, so you're doing Ankara or Batik, whatever it is you're doing, there is a market out there. Let's not forget, let's put this in context. Afrobeat, Afropop, Nigerian music is being exported around the world. So people are consuming our content, not just our music now. When they're consuming our music, they're consuming our culture. When they're consuming our culture, they're consuming our the way we dress, right? They're consuming our fashion. So you just looking at Nigeria's 200 million people and that you need to compete within this space is leaving behind a huge untapped, unexplored market, global market that are looking for ways to, be more Nigerian, be more Afro-based, be more African. That's where I think our SMEs should be looking out for. Looking outside of the country, outside the shores of this country. While we have a very healthy population, you can agree that sometimes it may seem as if it's we're oversaturated. Everybody nowadays, the fashion design, everybody nowadays. But I'm telling you, right outside of the shores of this country, we can be, and that's where you focus more on, right? When it comes to e-commerce, that's where you should be focusing on. So websites like, I don't know if it's okay to call some of the websites, but there are websites, and if you Google them, you'll find quite a number of these e-commerce websites that are in your niche, right? So whether it's artwork, you find websites that are in that particular area. And that's why I think we should be guiding our youths to look out there. If we complain and we just complain that, you have a small number of people that are engaged in unscrupulous activities using the internet, I tell them, look, with the same internet, they can be selling our goods, our services, even our raw material, because that's basically what this is down to. It boils down to still marketing and your use of digital technology.
Thank you so very much, Ebuka and Ichebe, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time. Business Express continues after this break. Stay with us. And still talking in business, transforming the informal sector to become more productive towards building a robust economy for Nigeria will require suitable regulations and policies to support various businesses upgraded. Joseph Otien reports that these suggestions came through at the 4th National Productivity Summit in Abuja.
From tailors to petty traders, smallholder farmers and many others in the informal sector, the International Labour Organization reports that this business is the biggest employer of labor in Nigeria at 80%. But upgrading to add value in the sector and the national economy has remained an uphill task, occasioned by lack of resources and unfavorable conditions to strive.
Most mechanic workshops, they come to demolish it and send them away. Thank God for what government is doing. Since we must have to comment with government, because they want to give us Wasa land. But that one has been in the pipeline for a long time.
And most of these traders, you see them just still using this small phone that is not an Android phone, whereby you can use to display your wares on the internet. We are hoping that digital training will be done.
Addressing the bottlenecks to the practitioners through capacity building and favorable policies will give them a push to be more productive and competitive.
The focus of this summit, therefore, is to articulate a series of issues around the activities of individuals and groups in small workplaces and visible lack of access to information, markets, finances, training, and technology.
In Abuja, Joseph Utsen.
Oil fell on Thursday as a weak U.S. economic data raised concerns over a potential global recession and demand reduction. But benchmark prices were headed for a weekly advance after OPEC Plus announced further output cuts and U.S. oil stocks dropped. Brent crude futures fell 74 cents to $84.25 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate U.S. crude slid 75 cents to $79.88 a barrel. And still on commodities, let's see prices of other commodities in the global market. While looking forward to transactions in the stock market today, it was a negative close for the equities market in Nigeria on Wednesday as the NGX All Share Index depreciated to close at 53,018.97 basis points from 54,035.39 basis points recorded on Tuesday. Investors exchanged 197 million shares valued at 2.6 billion naira in 3,506 deals. UBA led the activity chart and was followed by Transcap and Zenith Bank. Well, that's much we can take on Business Express. Keep a date with us tomorrow for another fresh edition. I'm Benny Adams saying have a wonderful day ahead.